Welcome to my channel, The Professor. Thank you so much for watching this video. And of course, thank you for subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, you want to subscribe to this channel, because by subscribing to this channel, you are going to learn a lot about a lot of things. That's what this channel is about educating our community, educating the public. Today, I'm going to talk about a criminal case that I think is interesting. And part of the reason why I think this case is interesting is because of not only just because of the defendant, but also because of what's involved in the case, and also the possibility of a parallel between how this case that I'm going to talk about, how the FBI treated this case versus how they treat the A.D. Alexandre case. So this is something that the media hasn't widely covered, okay? A few days ago, the FBI actually, Andrew Gillum, okay? Andrew Gillum is a Black man, very articulate, very smart, very intelligent. He was the mayor of Tallahassee, Florida. And he was the mayor there for 2 terms. He did very well. In fact, so well that the Democratic Party supported him to be the nominee to run for governor of Florida. So he was the Democratic nominee who actually ran for governor against Ron DeSantis. Of course, Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida, did win and became governor, but he was the man who ran against it. In fact, this guy is so articulate, so charismatic, so well put together that people in the Democratic Party was talking about him as the next Obama. Some people were saying there's a possibility that he could even be a vice presidential candidate. People talked about him in the same way that they talk about Obama when Obama was a senator in Illinois. So what happened to Andrew Gillum? Okay, now this is an interesting case, and of course I'm going to talk about something that you may have heard or may not have heard before, some legal terms, but of course, as usual, I would explain everything. Okay, now here's what happened. Andrew Gillum turned himself over to the FBI. Basically, they didn't go to his house and arrested him and make a big deal out of it. He knew he was going to be arrested. He went to the FBI in Florida and turned himself into the FBI. Of course, he was booked and he appeared before a judge and was released on his own recognizance. Okay. What are the charges against Andrew Gillum? Now, Andrew Gillum is not just anyone. Like I said, he ran for governor, and the Haitian community in Florida, I know a lot of people in the Haitian community who actually did support Andrew Gillum for governor when he runs against Ron DeSantis. Okay, here's the case. The FBI arrested Andrew Gillum for wire fraud and violation of elections law. Okay, those are the charges. There are 21 counts in the indictment against Andrew Gillum. Now, this is a case that the FBI has been investigating for the last 3 years. Okay, and they finally made an arrest after they investigated. They got all the evidence. All right. Now, this is the basic of what happened. When Andrew Gillum was running for governor, a man posing as an investor. Now, that guy wasn't an investor. He was an undercover FBI agent. Certainly, Andrew Gillum did not know that. There were several meetings with this particular man. So the guy actually offered Andrew Gillum as a candidate for governor to fund his campaign. Okay. Now, the FBI, the government, is accusing, in the indictment, they claim that the guy who posed as the FBI agent did in fact give Andrew Gillum $200,000 and only $100,000 shows up in his campaign, the other $100,000 he uses for his personal expenses, traveling, and so on and so forth. So obviously, when the guy, in fact, the indictment claims that when the man who posed as an investor asked Andrew Gillum, the candidate, that he's looking for some special treatment once he became governor. And according to the FBI, Andrew Gillum said, yes, don't worry about it. Whatever you need, if I become governor, you will get it. So certainly, guys, it's clear that if what the FBI is saying, it is true, Andrew Gillum will be convicted and will go to prison. Now, here's the interesting things, right? Andrew Gillum did not go out and seek this man. Andrew Gillum did not go out and look for the investor. This person was introduced to him by the acquaintance, someone in the campaign. But I don't know how the conversation came about. I don't know how someone is running for office and will have a meeting with someone you don't really know, who simply tells you that they are an investor and they like to invest in your campaign, and somehow they're seeking special treatment. First of all, the candidate should never talk to someone like that. This should be handled by lower level people who works in the campaign. I have worked in several campaigns for governor in the state of New York, for congressman. This is something that if you're a campaign staffer, you would not let that happen. So I don't know how this come to be. However, what I can tell you is there is something in the law called entrapment. Okay? Entrapment is basically when the government, basically make it possible for you to do something that they didn't consider a crime and then they prosecute you. That's really what entrapment is. In this case, the issue is whether or not the FBI entrapped Andrew Gillum. Now, certainly we can have different discussions. Some people may think, well, he was entrapped. Some people may say, no, he wasn't entrapped. Basically, he was a candidate who was running for office. And of course, people would come to him all the time asking for favors or contribute to his campaign. So it was up to him to follow the law. I totally agree. The question is, the bulk of the violations, of the criminal actions, the criminal violation in the indictment against Andrew Gillum is that this guy who posed as an investor, as someone who wanted to support his campaign, was not really an investor. This was an FBI agent who went undercover simply to get Andrew Gillum on the record saying something or doing something illegal. So that is what really the case is about. Now, certainly, let's put the case aside for a minute and let's talk about something else which contributed to where Andrew Gillum is. Now, when I follow Andrew Gillum for a very long time, and the reason I did, there were some people who said that perhaps his parents or grandparents were Haitians. I don't know that for a fact. In fact, when I checked, I think his grandparents and parents were born in Tennessee. So I don't know whether they have any Haitian roots whatsoever. But here's what makes this case interesting. About a year or so ago, now Andrew Gillum had been married for a while and he has children. I think he has 2 children. And he and Obama, his wife, Andrew Gillum's wife, and former President Obama had taken several pictures together. Certainly this man was a superstar in the Democratic Party, so everybody wanted to meet with him, and including, of course, the President of the United States, including Obama. And there were several pictures of him and Obama together. Now, here's what makes this case interesting. About a year ago, Andrew Gillum was caught in a hotel room in Florida with 2 men, and one of the 2 men was a male escort, was a male prostitute, so to speak. So certainly that didn't bode well for Andrew Gillum his wife or his family. Certainly the media was all over this. And Andrew Gillum finally admitted that he is bisexual. So in other words, he goes both ways. Okay? So now, how does that contribute to his case? Certainly, Andrew Gillum knew that he was being investigated, and that investigation started shortly after he lost the gubernatorial election, and that investigation had been ongoing for a long time now. And certainly, this is now the consequence of that investigation. So he knew that he was being investigated. He knew that it was a matter of time before the FBI knocked at his door. Now, I want to, because I explained this to you before in a prior video, that I made the difference between the way the FBI operates and the way they conduct investigation. Now, in the case of Andrew Gillum, they had an undercover guy that went in and posed, basically lied to Andrew Gillum about his intention, and then told Andrew Gillum that he wanted to invest in his campaign, he wanted to give money, and actually did give money. I don't know where the money came from. It was government money, but he did give money. And that money did not go for everything that Andrew Gillum told him that money was going to be used for. Andrew Gillum used all that money for travel expense and other stuff that he wasn't supposed to. Let's put it this way. So the FBI had been on his tail, has been investigated, and they didn't arrest him until the investigation was completed. They have all the evidence, so on and so forth. Now, in the case of A.D. Alexandre, the FBI moved to arrest first and then continue the investigation. As it is right now, the investigation is continuing. So that is not the normal state of affairs. That's not the way that the FBI normally do things. They take time to investigate. And when the FBI does an investigation, they do an investigation. They will turn every rock to make sure that they find the evidence. And they do a thorough job in investigating crime by talking to whoever they need to talk to. So that investigation took a long time. And certainly, Andrew Gillum knew he was being investigated. Whether he knew all the detail or not, I don't know, but he knew he was being investigated. It was just a matter of time before he get arrested. So obviously, after he lost the gubernatorial election, things just went downhill from there. Now, the problem is that this is a man who, by all accounts, was a superstar in the Democratic Party. This man could have gone anywhere. I mean, forget about the fact he lost the gubernatorial election. Forget about the fact that Ron DeSantis won. If he had done things the right way, he would have been, the superstar that everybody thought he was, because the man was just very good. So something had happened from the time that he lost the elections to 2 years later, to him getting caught in the hotel room with these two men, and then admitted that he's bisexual. Certainly he was married and his wife and his children. I'm sure that this is not something that they were looking forward to hear. So this is a case that I will continue to report on, because I think this is a case of great public interest, and not just, because Andrew Gillum, was a candidate for governor, and he was somebody who could have ended up being vice president or even president of the United States, because I think he was that good. And everyone was saying that he reminded him of Obama, because the man was very articulate, very charismatic, going far in life. But instead of going far in life and doing something positive, he's looking at prison time, basically. Assuming that everything that the FBI said and the indictment is true, and I have no reason to believe that this didn't happen. Now, certainly, Andrew Gillum was not the only one arrested. Andrew Gillum has a co-defendant, which is a young woman that actually worked with him And I think that somehow this man who posed as an FBI agent came through this woman. So I will continue to report on the case of United States versus Andrew Gillum. Certainly, there were a lot of Haitians, a lot of people in Florida that I know, leaders in the community work very closely with Andrew Gillum. And it is a sad state of affair when a man like Andrew Gillum with such great potential, with so much to give, end up being in the thralls of the criminal justice system. Now, certainly, I mentioned entrapment before, okay? And entrapment is a legal term. So when I said entrapment, you know, I mean, you can think of it just as the word entrapment, but there's a legal definition to entrapment. And the issue is that when you're a public person, like Andrew Gillum, you're in the public arena, okay? You always have to keep in mind that there are people going to test you. There are people who are going to try you. There are people who will try to bring you down. Now, I'm not saying that Andrew Gillum is guilty or Andrew Gillum is innocent. I only know what the FBI said. I don't know what Andrew Gillum said. I haven't spoken to Andrew Gillum. I haven't talked to his attorney. I haven't talked to anyone close to him. I don't know what he did or didn't do. The only thing that I know is what the FBI said. And if what the FBI said is true, it's true. So Andrew Gillum is looking forward to some time in a federal prison. And with 21 counts of criminal behavior, I don't see how he comes out of it, especially when you have an FBI agent that probably most likely recorded everything that Andrew Gillum said and probably videotaped some of his conversation with Andrew Gillum, because this was an FBI sting operation. So was that an entrapment? Did the FBI entrap Andrew Gillum? Did the FBI basically force his end to commit a crime? So the answer to that, I don't think so. I think that the FBI, as a matter of practice, normally sometimes they do this. They go undercover, especially if they were told, or if somebody told them there's some hanky-panky going on in a trial or in a business, they'll send someone undercover to try to get in and find out what's going on. So in this case, this man went to Andrew Gillum and promised him money and asked for specific favors. And according to the FBI, those what the man asked, Mr. Gillum said yes, he will do if he became governor. Suddenly, we all know that one DeSantis won the election by a very small margin, which means that Andrew Gillum could have won by a small margin. So it is an interesting case. It is a case worth following. And as with the case with Eddie Alexan, I will certainly continue to report in the case of Andrew Gillum. Now, I must also tell you guys that this channel is not just only to report on Eddie Alexan or Andrew Gillum. This is a channel that I've decided to put together to kind of educate the community. So in the next few months, I'm going to have different guests who would have a conversation with me about certain issues that I think would be great for all of you to know. My first guest certainly would be this week. We'll talk about money management. We'll talk about a whole host of issues that relate to investment, that relate to the stock market. Certainly, the information will be worthwhile. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would urge you to subscribe. And if you do have friends please share the link with your friend and your family members and ask them to subscribe, because we're going to be talking about a lot of issues. Because in our community, in the Haitian community, I know that information, like any other community, is very important. So we want to make sure that you have that information in your fingertip. We want to make sure that when you're making decisions about yourself, your family, that those decisions are based on fact, are based on correct information. We're also going to talk about kids that are ready to go to college. I've gone to college in this country and I didn't have to pay for school. And I know there are a lot of parents out there who may not know what is available for their children, or the children also may not. So part of what we're going to do is bring people, expert who have the information, understand, to be able to share that with you so that you can then use that information to better your lives. So this is what the goal of the channel is. This is what I want to do with this channel, and I want you to continue watching. I want you to continue being supportive of the channel. And if you have any issues or anything that you would like to know more about, whatever it is, just send me a comment or send me an email, because my email is usually under the video. Send me an email. So that way I would consider bringing someone who can address this issue. For example, I know there are a lot of people worries about the credit. I'm gonna have someone who's an expert on fixing credit who would join me in the show. We'll talk about real estate, how to buy your first house and what to look for when you buy a house. Those are issues that I think, and I've heard stories where the Haitian community and people in the community have been taken advantage of because they don't have the information. So my job is to make sure that you do have the correct information, that when you go out and do business, you would be armed with the right information. So I thank you so much for watching this video, and please do subscribe, and please share a link with your friend and family members so they can subscribe to the channel. So keep watching, and this week we're going to be talking about money management and investment. So I hope that you will tune in. I hope that, again, I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you later.